Regrets? Griffin Jax has a few about asking to be traded. Walker Jenkins hopes he doesn't regret hoping for opening day with the Twins in 2026. Michael Helman doesn't regret not being with the Twins anymore. He's becoming a star in Texas. Are you ready for all this stuff? Then you better get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every day. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who regrets nothing. I'm also a BBWA member and a voter for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, who regrets how he asked a question to Lance Lynn once, but nothing else. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find Brandon's written work at the Access Twins newsletter, and you can find mine at Pitcher List and elsewhere. On this podcast, Griffin Jax opened up to Dan Hayes of The Athletic and said he could have handled the whole trade deadline thing better. Well, it's too late now, so Rays it is. The Twins have been using their running game more in the second half, certainly since Keaschall rejoined them and since the trade deadline shook up the roster a bit. Has it helped them win more games? Not really. Might it help them win more games going forward? Maybe. Walker Jenkins told Bobby Nightingale of The Athletic that he wants to make his Twins debut on opening day 2026. The way he's tearing things up for AAA, we say, here, as in the majors. Jax isn't the only ex-Twin up to new things in their new home. Michael Helman is hoping to transform the Texas Rangers' playoff chances, and I'm not even kidding. That and more, but first, today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. What you do is you download the GameTime app, you create an account, and then you use Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It's game time. I thought you knew that by now. Griffin Jax, not Brandon Jax, but Griffin Jax. He is a member of the Tampa Bay Rays, and thanks in part to deal maker Carlos Correa, who was feeding him information from the front office that, we could maybe move you if you wanted. What do you say? And then he was moved, and now he kind of regrets the whole thing because, not the whole thing, but parts of it, because he was feeling emotional at the time, and he didn't really want to leave. He just wanted things to be better with Rocco and the Twins. He didn't hate Rocco, but maybe he got a little upset about how Rocco left his statistics out to dry a little bit in one game. That whole thing was unfortunate, Jax said. This is in The Athletic by Dan Hayes. Being able to reflect on it came from a place of emotion, especially the day before and how that went. I'm pretty regretful and apologetic. But at the same time, I know the root of a reliever. I've heard him say this before. Typically, they don't make it all the way to free agency with one club. Sort of making it happen by thinking about it. Typically, they don't do that. I didn't think this was going to be the year I was traded. I thought it would be another year or two. Well, sometimes you get what you ask for, just not on time. We're not always on your time. You'll get what you want, just not on your timeline. Sounds like I'm talking to my 10-year-old. He's got a 4.81 ERA and 58 innings with a 2.68 FIP. Zeros in his last two appearances, but Jax has given up 8 earned runs in 12 innings since joining Tampa Bay, with 17 strikeouts and 6 walks and 3 homers allowed. That's kind of busy. Brandon, what's your first impression of Griffin Jax's mea culpa, I guess it was?
I mean, I don't really disagree with anything he said. I think it's, you can obviously have some regret over how things were handled, but in the emotion, you're fired up. And I don't really blame him. And things went sideways very quickly there. And it seemed like I wouldn't say the inmates were running the asylum, but like it was just so disjointed. Taking Willie Castro out to get a hand or a standing ovation, and nobody knows what's going on. So it was a product of the time. It was a product of where the team was. And I don't know that Jax has anything to be particularly apologetic about. And sure, things haven't gone great for him with Tampa. And obviously Taj Bradley has been up and down with the Twins better lately. And he's going to get the start in today's game. Yeah. In Anaheim very soon. I guess stumbling over, I wanted to call it LA, but it's LA of A, Los Angeles of Anaheim. Yeah. So I think it's great that Dan gave him the chance to clear the air. I don't know that it was necessary, but I also think it's kind of damning that he said, "Oh, I didn't expect to get traded yet." So he expected to be traded. I think we've seen that this regime values relievers in a very specific manner, and I don't know if it's fair or unfair. It's unfair to the human being, but in terms of how baseball works, I kind of get it. I mean, if Taj Bradley pitches like he has in his last 2 starts, 13 strikeouts in 10 innings, ERA, not great, but you can see kind of the vision there. I think you make that trade every day. And I know people have been upset about the Varland trade, but again, you get a possible everyday player and a possible starting pitcher for a reliever with, good stuff, but a short track record. These are all understandable baseball moves. Now, you'd ideally like to be a baseball team on the side of you're winning, so you don't make those trades, but the Twins had to face reality. And so these were all necessary evils in the most part. I don't know if you could say every single last one of them. And so I think it's going to be healthy for everyone to move on. You said Rocco mentioned it's not healthy or particularly useful to lament on those things. I think Jax talking about this makes for a clean break for everybody. And I think they all wish each other well.
He's going to see a couple of his ex-teammates who are also moved. You mentioned Lou Varland, Corbett Lou, and Ty France, not a relief pitcher, but they're with the Blue Jays, and they'll meet up with Jax and the Rays pretty soon. There was a couple interesting other things from that story that I liked. They used Jax as an opener in a recent game to help kind of reset him. And that's funny because, he started out as a starter and kind of wanted to be one, sort of like how Lou came along. And it didn't work out at first. But Dan says if the cards align, that's not St. Louis cards. It's just figurative cards. It's possible Jax could return to starting pitcher next season, but he expects to be a reliever for the rest of the season. So the Rays are still kind of hanging around in the playoff chase. I don't see them getting in, but there's been some wacky stuff going on in the AL playoff race, so maybe they do. But it's just they're kind of a 500 club, Tampa Bay Rays. But that would be funny if Jax got to go back to the rotation next year. I mean, I wouldn't put the Rays are into doing stuff like that. So, it's funny how maybe he acted emotionally. I don't know with the trading of most of the bullpen and the way that the team appears to be set up, the Twins going forward. I don't know that the Twins would have given Jax a chance to start next year. I guess that depends on what happens to Joe Ryan, what happens to Pablo Lopez in the next winter. Again, we're going down that road that Rocco said not to. But it's just funny that he asked for a trade and he went to a place where he could get a kind of a little bit of a fresh start and maybe a chance to be a starter, which is kind of what he always wanted to do ahead of free agency, where you can make more money than as a reliever. So, I mean, and he sounds sad maybe that he got traded and maybe was a little impulsive, but this is going to be a good chance for him. So it really is, like you say, a clean break, and it is kind of working out, especially if he gets a chance to be whatever he wants to be as a pitcher in Major League Baseball. I kind of like how that turned out. We'll see how the Taj Bradley part turns out for the Twins, but I think for Griffin Jax, this is the best possible world.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to talk about an organization who may trade you as you get more expensive, he's with another one. So true. I don't know what exactly that means, but it'll be curious to see too if, as he gets more expensive, they say, listen, we are going to do the Clay Holmes or I'm trying to think of who the other guys were, the
guys in the Padres, Michael King and
Yep. And so I think the Braves did it with Ronaldo Lopez, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how it goes, if that's the route they take. And, then they might be able to be more able to justify whatever his bumps are in arbitration and that sort of thing. So, yeah, to be honest, to say that I was surprised the Rays were on the other end of that is certainly the case. But, they felt good, I think, about their chances of making the playoffs this year and then, finding a way to use him however next year. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Twins have a reasonably good chance of, when we grade the contract at the end of the day, when the trade tree is settled and the roots are fully branched out, that maybe both teams did well, but I think the Twins have a good chance of being happy they made the trade.
This is a crazy life, Jack said, and one day you wake up and you're in Tampa Bay. Well, when you're with Tampa Bay, one day you can wake up and you're somewhere else. So, but hopefully he gets everything he desires in life. That would be great. And I hope everybody gets what they desire in life, like this commercial break.
Oh, boy.
Dang. Sounds like the air conditioning's running.
No, it's my wash machine is taking off for flight. But the NFL season is here. Don't need to remind Dave Brown of that, I don't think. But FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff every single week with a can't-miss offer, and I cannot emphasize enough how great this offer is, because I've never seen one like this. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. Can't even get a cup of coffee for $5 anymore. And if that bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I'm feeling on a given day. You want to do same game parlays, you want player props, you want a little bit of live action, whatever you want, I can weave it all together and stick to my plan. It makes the game more exciting too. If you're watching your team, or if you're watching a game that is just maybe not that important to you, but you want to get a little action on it, that's where FanDuel comes in. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 order.
Lockdown Twins is back.
No, for some reason my buttons are sticking, but we have one more new client to get to, and it's Nutrafol. Yeah. And it's funny because my wife has been talking about Nutrafol irrespective of this podcast, because you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works, sarcastically. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything, and that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. My wife has actually warned me that there's a lot of them out there that are fake and actually don't do anything, or are just fillers. Like they'll take a legitimate product but then fill it with something. You can't trust anybody out there, except you can trust Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And again, because my wife is a hair professional, I have gone to her and asked her about this stuff. She has sung the praises of Nutrafol. I have been actually taking it, and if you're watching, you can see I got a pretty good head of hair here now after taking it for a while, and I've certainly enjoyed it. And you can feel good about knowing that Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. All that good stuff, and it's very easy to add to your day. It's 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. Very, very easy. See thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription, and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol, Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB.
We ready?
Yes.
Locked On Twins is back now. Now it's back for our second segment. Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. The running game in the Kansas City series. It was lots of stolen bases. The Twins have been running a lot. They continue to run more. They have 36 stolen bases. This is going into action against the Angels on Wednesday. 36 stolen bases since August 1st, which is the day after the trade deadline. The first day after it. That's second in the league. Now, in that span, they're 13-24, worse than the AL. So It's not like it's a magic elixir or a genie granting you a wish or whatever. But I do like the look and the feel and the idea of an aggressive, controlled aggression running game. Rocco says he loves. It's a fun game to watch from the bench. Now you might ask yourself, well, why didn't the Twins run more in the first half? Well, the personnel was a little different, for one.
Right.
I mean, that's not the only thing. I think, I do get the feeling, organizationally speaking, they look at the part of analytics that says there's only a marginal benefit in running. And I think I don't know that is necessarily taking everything into account when you look at how they quantify it that way. I think when you run a game where you're always running and you always have your opponent kind of guessing and considering and maybe changing position a little bit, there are little things that can add up that we might not see from the analytical side, or it might be something of a guess or an estimate or a guesstimate as to exactly how much it affects the other team. But I think when you give the defense something else to worry about, it certainly couldn't hurt to take off. And Luke Keaschall is an example. He doesn't necessarily think that the stolen bases, that statistic, is where, at least for his game, the best part of his running game. It's taking the extra base. It's being in position to score when maybe other people aren't. If you saw the Royals series, you saw the Twins they tried a couple of double steals, and Keaschall even stole home in one instance. And he's been very successful so far. I've heard some opinions that, given more time to prepare and making it less of a surprise, maybe the Twins wouldn't be as successful running. But I do think there is something about it that, it keeps the players interested a little bit more in games where, if you don't have a lot of base runners, if you're moving around, if you're trying to steal, it keeps everybody on their toes. It makes for a fresher baseball experience, at least. And are they going to be able to win more games? I think that's codependent on lots of other things happening. But I do like what I see from that standpoint of the running game so far.
Yeah, I mean, everything is situational. Everything is also predicated on the fact that wins or losses right now are secondary. It's time to find out if Luke Keaschall can read pitchers, if he can steal bases, and if he can do it at a highly successful rate. We know what Byron Buxton is capable of, and now that while runs may still be at a premium in the sense that the Twins aren't scoring that many, the other night notwithstanding, they are finding out what ways they can create runs and do so efficiently or inefficiently. Or again, it helps that these games results, like losing right now, again, I'm not a fan of tanking, but they are in a place now where wins and losses are largely inconsequential. And so if you want to do a double steal, like you're not doing that in June if you're facing the Guardians or if you're facing the Royals. That was when you were station to station and Carlos Correa was on your team and stuff. So acknowledging that the circumstances are different is a very important context that I think a lot of people, not you or I, or a lot of people that you or I trust, but fans like, well, why didn't they try this earlier? It's the same thing. Well, why didn't lefties face lefties earlier? One, they're still not particularly good at it. Matt Wallner has been better, but Trevor Larnach still isn't very good. But it's very hard to develop and try to win at the same time. So you have to push those buttons carefully. And knowing what you know now, I mean, like we've said, there's a lot of things that would be different. We're going to talk about Michael Helman later in the show. Yeah, he'd help the Twins right now. Brent Hedrick would help the Twins right now. Sometimes you just got to understand that you can only know what you know in the moment and go from there. So I'm enjoying it. I find it a bit more entertaining, if not, from a standpoint of, that's the kind of risk I like. I don't want to ride a dirt bike. I don't want to ride a roller coaster. I want to watch my baseball team, when they're not trying to win, run the bases like their hair's on fire. And that's especially scary if you're, Ryan Fitzgerald or James Outman, or if you're a certain beat reporter, you're not sure who is who. You heard that story, right?
You know what? I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about because
he actually outed himself. A Twins beat reporter. I'm going to let you guess which one.
Damn.
After the home run that James Outman hit,
yeah,
talked to Ryan Fitzgerald about the home run, or was it the other way around? No, and see, now I got myself confused. No, it was Outman homering in the first game, and this reporter talked to Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald was kind of like, but he carried on the interview anyway. Do you know who that was? I'll give you a hint. You saw them in Kansas City this last weekend.
Was it Phil?
It was Phil Miller. And Phil's like, I didn't end up using any of it because it was pretty tame and pretty lame or whatever. And I wouldn't have outed him if he hadn't been in the mentions of Aaron Gleeman admitting that it was himself. I love Phil. I wouldn't out him like that. But he's like, yeah, the answers were kind of weird. I was like, he didn't see
were they now?
Yeah. Although I heard, so Sid Hartman, may he eternally rest in peace, interviewed the wrong Henderson brother one time. He meant to interview EJ Henderson, the linebacker for the Vikings, and he interviewed Aaron Henderson, the also linebacker for the Vikings. But I don't think they look that much alike. But anyway, that lots of lore going around like that. And
we forgive Sid though because he was 104 at the time when he did.
Oh no, he was only about 102. So I'm kidding.
Well, speaking of what might help the Twins tomorrow, actually, let's do our break and then come back and finish up, and then we'll tell you what the hell I'm talking about.
My buttons aren't working today.
Sticky buttons?
Not for the reason you think. Well, have you decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with your friends or your family? Might be an MLB game, might be an NFL game, might even be a concert. Suddenly you want to be in the stands, and that's exactly where GameTime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merchandise, or maybe even bring a bigger entourage with you. Game Day makes it all possible by making buying tickets fast, and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, kickoff, tip-off, face-off. I don't know what would they call the off for a concert. Opener off. Anyway, you get last-minute incredible deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. I know I pump up the clear seat view feature. I love knowing what I'm going to be seeing from my seat before I hit buy. And also that all-in pricing. I can't say enough about them telling me what I'm going to pay from the beginning of the transaction to the end. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get 20 bucks off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for 20 bucks off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Locked On Twins, final segment. We want to make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On Twins, by the way. That way you won't miss any of the great Twins content that we've got for you. That includes the Twins postcast with Luke Inman live after the final out of every game, presumably including today when the Twins play 3 p.m., you said, against the Angels. So that way you get two shows for the price of one, and it's actually all for free, so there's no price. So get Locked On Twins every day by subscribing now. Let's talk about Helman, and then we'll end with Walker. This is from the Dallas Morning News. Evan writes, longtime beat writer.
Love Evan Grant.
Carter. What's that?
Evan Grant. Love him.
Evan Grant, but not Evan Carter. He's a short-time outfielder. On Monday, Michael Helman hit the Rangers' first grand slam of the season in his first ever at-bat with the bases loaded and drove in all 5 of the team's runs. Then he followed it up with a home run saving catch. That was really nice. A game-tying rally sparking homer of his own, all in the same inning in a 5-4 come-from-behind win over Milwaukee, the team with the best record in the league. Great trade, Falvey. Michael Helman is getting a chance to play, and, I mean, who knew? And the Rangers, they've lost, like everybody. Corey Seager isn't playing. Marcus Semien isn't playing. The pitcher,
Rusty Greer isn't playing.
Rusty Greer hasn't been playing for a long time, but
DeGrom,
He was shut down for a while.
Evaldi.
Nathan Evaldi, yeah.
Evaldi.
They're all and Vivaldi. There's no music being played either. But yet they're hanging in. I can't see them like doing anything once they get in the playoffs. If they don't have
when they won the World Series too, so baseball
yes, this is a bit. I mean, they're losing a bit much. But see, the key is the American League stinks.
Yep.
There aren't any good. There aren't very many good teams, if any. I don't know if any of these teams are good. But Helman, it's great. Bruce Bochy's very excited. He's like, I love that kid. So the Twins couldn't make it happen with Helman, or he couldn't make it happen with them. But let's just give him applause for getting a chance. And maybe this now makes it so he doesn't have to worry about being sent down every 2 seconds looking over his shoulder. He'll actually get a chance to play or be on a team or something.
Well, and Bochy was quoted. He said he was happy to bring out the Helman and bring out the best. So I knew that was going to get you a little mayonnaise reference. Or mayonnaise if you're a fan of Honey Boo Boo, which
Kauffman Stadium going on. All right, so apparently the Twins lost an opportunity with Helman, but they're going to get one pretty soon with Walker Jenkins. This is from Bobby Nightingale. It's easy for fans to imagine Jenkins, a 20-year-old outfielder, doing this routine before Twins games at Target Field next season. And Jenkins admits he has thoughts about it as well, unafraid to say his goal is making the Twins' 2026 opening day roster. You have to set far-fetched goals and set aspirations that you think are going to be tough to achieve just to push yourself. That's very well said. He's 20 years old and he's talking great. Ultimately, I want to be on the Twins team and play there for a long time. That makes all of us, Walker. So he's tearing up AAA. He started out 1 for 20. Nobody was worried, but it was kind of funny because that's sort of how he started out AA too. And it's hard to remember this, but at the beginning of the year, he was like recovering from an ankle injury and then another ankle injury and then some other injury. And people were like, oh no, what do we have? Another twin here or something like that, something not nice. But Jenkins has been terrific. And we'll see how they construct the roster for next spring, but I think there's a very good chance, maybe not center field because that's Buxton, but right field or left field could be his. And I don't know the way he's finishing up at AAA. I don't think there's much left to prove. The only thing, of course, is, well, if they wait until like May to bring him up or June, it might give them one more year of control. So we have that to look forward to. So we have Walker Jenkins, yes, but we also have the Walker Jenkins contract dance maybe to look forward to. So I don't look forward to that part, but he's coming, and it's going to be soon, and it's going to be good.
An oft-injured prospect, Twins prospect, you say? Huh. I think it's fair for people to get excited and to get excited about not only the closeness of his being to the big leagues in St. Paul, but also just who he is as a player right now. And I don't know why, but I feel like right field is going to be the spot for him. And I think maybe because if the Twins view someone as a long-term fit, having them learn right field and the intricacies of it with the limestone overhang and the scoreboard and all that, maybe I'm thinking a little too deep or a little too far into it. I think Matt Wallner has done a nice job learning those intricacies too, but I don't know if the long term is Rodriguez in left, Buxton in center, Jenkins in right. I almost said Jeffers, Wallner DHing, Roden kind of mixing and matching between first and the outfield. There's some pieces there. Roden, I still believe in as a hitter. I think he's going to take his walks. I think he's going to have just enough pop. Maybe he could do a Carlos Santana impersonation offensively. Not a ton of pop, but the walks and the plate discipline, and who knows about defense, that could change. But I still think this could be a pretty good team next year, and I'm going to keep saying it until I'm otherwise proven wrong. So they
might have some relief pitchers to replace, but and some other players to, like, are we sure they're going to be there for one reason or another? But I agree. I don't think, I would not trade certain people. I just wouldn't do it. I'm not even going to say their names. I just wouldn't do it.
I will. Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan. Keep them in Minnesota. I'm saying it. I'm going to say it. I don't care that
you said it. So I'm excited about Walker Jenkins.
Yes.
He reminds people of Larry Walker. He reminds Keith Law of Larry Walker, which is
Walker Jenkins.
Larry Walker Jenkins. That's not his name, but
Leroy Jenkins. Sorry, old internet meme.
I remember Leroy Jenkins.
Okay.
All right, we're going to end on an up note, I guess, even though I cluttered it up with contract and trading Joe Ryan thoughts. But we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. And for your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB game night. The all-new. It says all night. That's not right. All new. All new Locked On MLB game night. Every game, every night. Not all night, because it ends at some point. Until a World Series champion is crowned. Here's what you get. Local analysis. National scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts where they confuse the term new for night. No, I don't want to do that. Anyway, for my friend Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night from Locked On Twins. Welcome, Lee Jenkins. Crazy.
Leroy Jenkins.